My peoples. Devin Haney wants that smoke with everybody. He posted a list, and all the top dogs, their names are on there. Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson, Jaron Ennis, Teofimo Lopez, Ryan Garcia, Brian Norman Jr., Rollies, Romero, and there's a few others. So, I think that right now Devin Haney is in a position to get those type of fights, big fights. He's a big name himself. And let's see, I think, after the fight with Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney has like a sense of urgency to get in there with the big boys and continue to prove himself. JJ's in the house. Hello, Jay Smith. I'm here. Let's go. What's the deal, my brother? Appreciate you dropping in. The first one in the building. You may have seen it, man. Devin Haney posted that list. He wants that action with everybody. I think, I saw that the number one name on his list, if I'm not mistaken, was Teofimo Lopez. Why? Because he want to make that fight. He's been talking about it recently. And the second name of that list, on that list is Shakur Stevenson. But, pretty much everybody, in and around his division who has a title or is considered one of the big boys is on that list. Devin Haney's trying to get that action. I think we have to see what happens between Jaron Ennis and Teofimo Lopez. If that fight's gonna happen, then let's see what direction Devin Haney goes in. JJ's in that Shakur, hopefully. If it's true, nice. So, honestly, I think Shakur Stevenson will not be next. I know Shakur obviously has William Zepeda to take care of, but I'm not talking about because of the timing. I don't think Devin Haney's in a rush to fight Shakur. If anything, I think Shakur would be one of the last that he wants to fight on that list. But the way that he had it numbered, I think that's the order that he want to fight them in. Then, Shakur Stevenson will be at the number 2 slot. But Devin Haney wants to fight everybody. I think he wants to reestablish himself as that guy. Because you have to keep in mind, my people, listen, even though Devin Haney is undefeated right now, he's an undefeated champion, but we didn't forget what happened between him and Ryan Garcia. He took a nasty beating, and it looked like his stock went down after that fight. And then this last fight, people were disappointed. They were not happy with his performance, with the fact that it's not just that he didn't knock out his opponent, but there was a lot of footwork, a lot of lateral movement, and very little punching. It was one of those fights that you're not going to say it was action-packed. So Devin Haney, he caught a lot of flack for that performance. I thought he played this safe, and it's a good idea. After taking a nasty beating, you don't want to take another one, or you don't want to take a lot of big shots. Ultimately, he walked out of there with the W, which is what he wanted to accomplish. Now, can we get, Devin Haney with Jaron Ennis or with Teofimo Lopez, with Tank Davis? Let's see. Now, the situation with Tank Davis, it's reported that he's going to fight Lamar Roach, and afterwards, he's fighting Jake Paul at the end of this year. So, it doesn't look like none of the big boys are going to get in the ring with Tank Davis, at least in 2025. Wishful thinking. I want to see Tank Davis fight Shakur Stevenson. Been asking for that fight for I don't know how long, but at least for this year, it looks like Tank Davis is going to keep ducking Shakur. I'm used to that by now. But yeah, man, Devin Haney is really all about that smoke. He's trying to get that action. And I think we got to see what's going to happen with Teofimo Lopez. And the reason I say that is because right now it looks like Teofimo can fight Jaron Boost Ennis, or he can fight Devin Haney. It seems like the boy is in his court right now, or maybe he's trying to figure out where he's gonna get the better deal or the most money. Boxing is a business, obviously, but once we know who Teofimo is gonna fight next, that's when I believe that's when the other chips are gonna fall. So if Teofimo Lopez is gonna fight Jaron Boost Ennis, now we gotta see who Devin Haney's gonna fight, because he has a lot of options. And like I said, listen, Devin built his name up to a certain point where he can fight anybody he wants. Very few people will decline to fight with Devin, because they know they're gonna get a good payday. They're gonna be seen by a lot of people. They're gonna be, whether it's pay-per-view or on the zone or wherever it is, they're gonna be on a big platform. So I think Devin, he's not gonna have a hard time getting an opponent. Plus, right now, people, I believe that there's some fighters that feel like he's not exactly the same after Ryan Garcia. And, they want the opportunity to exploit that. When you're an undefeated champion, people want the opportunity to be the first to beat you. JJ Sendejas, is it true, Jay Smith, that Canelo and Crawford fight is canceled? Turkey is giving Canelo 150 million, Crawford 50, but they're trying to fight somewhere else because of taxes. Don't know if it's true. Honestly, I don't know that to be true. I haven't heard that from any official source. So I think we have to see still how it plays out. We haven't seen, obviously, any official announcement saying that the fight is canceled. So to me right now, I'll say the fight is going down. As far as where the fight is happening, it was supposed to take place in Raider Stadium. Maybe they're just going to change the venue for tax purposes. Maybe they're going to go have it in Vegas or somewhere else. So I think that, the situation with the taxes and the money, I don't think it should prevent the fight from happening, simply because they don't even have to move it to another country. They can move it to a state where there's no taxes. And that's it. So, I don't know. I think they'll have options. And honestly, based on what we've seen, especially in the last few months, and after Canelo won, with Crawford stepping in the ring, His Excellency Turkey Alaushi going up as well. They're both in training camp. By the way, I seen a video where they were saying that Canelo Alvarez went to Philly to spar with Jaron Boots Ennis. Canelo Alvarez sparring with Boots. Now, I think that's obviously going to be a good idea, because Boots is a switch hitter. We know that Boots can do it southpaw. He can do it from the orthodox stance. So he's a very good fighter to simulate some of the things that Crawford is going to do, or that Crawford can do. So I think that's very interesting. I wish I could see video of Boots and Canelo sparring. I think that would be super interesting. I'm 100% sure that had to have gotten very competitive, even heated, where both guys want to show their dominance and their skills and all that good stuff. But wow, man, that shows that Canelo is looking for sparring partners that are going to be very similar, or as similar as possible, to Bud Crawford. JJ Zendejas, Texas. Let's see where they're going to make it happen. But I don't think for tax purposes, this fight is not going to be canceled. I don't see it. These guys, they're going to do whatever it takes to get that fight done. Because, it's not just about the money, man. Canelo is wealthy. Canelo could retire, never box a day in his life, and he's not going to run out of money. So, yes, the huge payday is part of it, because it's a business, but it's also what it does for their legacy. Gabe Rivera, dímelo, mi hermano. I think they just trying to take overseas, because a fight like that, lose the venue, that's crazy. I mean, listen, I think that this fight, wherever they have it, is going to generate a lot of money. As far as the taxes, though, I understand, if you hold it in certain states, that state tax is going to hit you hard. So I get that part. But I feel like they're gonna be able to work it out, find the right venue to make it happen. I do know that they want to make that fight in the U.S. They don't want to go to Saudi Arabia. If they, I'm sure if they have to, they will. But being that it is Terrence Buck Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, this is the biggest fight in boxing. I think they want to hold it in the U.S. That's my perspective. Another thing, my peoples. Another thing. Jaron Boots Ennis, as of right now, he has a lot of great options. My favorite opponent for Jaron Boots Ennis is Brian Norman Jr. Simply because in that fight they would be able to unify 3 titles. But look what happens when your popularity starts to go up. Before, Boots couldn't even get an opponent because he was, the whole high risk, low reward type of situation. But now, Brian Norman Jr. wants to fight Boots. Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, Ryan Garcia also mentioned his name. Blair the Flair, Connor Ben. Pretty much all of the guys in and around Boots division who've made a name for themselves have said they want to fight him. That right there shows you that he's going to have options. Boots is going to start getting those big fights, and his star power is going to go up expeditiously. Telling you that right now. Because, top level fighters, elite level fighters like Boots, they go through that period where, there's a certain section of the fan base the boxing fan base that's gonna say stuff like who he fought, who he beat. He didn't beat nobody. And as he starts to get more popular, he'll be able to get these fights. And they're gonna have to find a whole different narrative to hate on him. Because it's gonna be like, oh, wait a minute, he's already beat so and so, and he beat so and so, and he beat this person. So then, a whole different narrative is created around him. But Boots is definitely a special fighter. I want to see who he's going to fight next. Like I said, I'd love to see Jaron Boots Ennis and Brian Norman Jr. I believe that's the best fight at welterweight division because it would see 3 of the major titles getting unified. But I have no problem whatsoever with Jaron Boots Ennis versus the takeover, Teofimo Lopez. I have no problem with that fight, my peoples. I think... And for whatever reason, folks are telling me, yo, Boots is going to wash him. Boots is going to make it look easy. Teofimo going to get smoked. Look, man, we got to stop putting that type of disrespect on Teofimo Lopez's name, my peoples. Real talk. We got to stop putting that type of disrespect on him, man. Like, the guy, look at Teofimo's resume. He got a resume. Multi-division champion, unified champion, lineal champion. Come on now. And I'm not going to sit here right now and tell you that Teofimo Lopez is going to beat Jaron Boots Ennis. I'm not making a prediction at all. All I'm telling you is that, Teofimo Lopez is the truth. He's for real. Why are we acting like he's just an average Joe? JJ's in there has no camera are allowed in sparring. When Camboso and Emiliano spar, Fernando told my uncle and cousin to put their phone away. Ah, man. I mean, but that's common. That's common. Nice fight you're talking about right now. That's common, my brother. I understand, oftentimes when there's sparring taking place, they don't want cameras. And I'm going to tell you, one of the reasons why they don't want cameras is because you know how it go. You could record the whole sparring session, but then release snippets that, make it seem like this guy was putting the beats on that guy. So then that guy gets mad and he does the same thing. He releases his own snippets. So now we on some bullshit. So for that reason, I believe it does make sense for sparring to not get recorded like that. Gabe Rivera. I give Tio a shot because he can punch, but I don't like that guy. JJ's in the house, exactly. And I understand you, Gabe, because look, me myself, I've had mixed emotions when it comes to Teofimo, because I don't like the racist stuff that he be doing when he start doing the monkey stuff and the watermelons and all that crazy stuff that he be on. I feel like he has the right talent and even the personality to market himself without having to do that stupid stuff. As far as, what he does inside the ring, I think all of us respect him. I think he got to change that stuff that he's doing outside the ring, though. Front line. What would Teo offer Boots? Boots has the belt. Teo brings nothing to the table. What will Boots gain from fighting Teo? Nothing. It's a win-win for Teo and a lose-lose for Boots. I got to disagree with you, front line. And I'm going to tell you why. Teofimo brings a fighter with a name and a legitimate resume. That's what Boost doesn't have right now. What do people ask about Boost when they criticize him? His haters, his detractors. Oh, who he beat. Oh, he didn't beat nobody. He didn't beat no champions. You got to remember, my brother, Boots is, right now, we don't say it because he's so extremely talented, but Boots is an email champion. Don't get it twisted. Well, he's not an email champion anymore because he beat this guy Stanionis. But Stanionis was also an email champion just like Boots. Both of them got a vacant title. So I want you to think about this. Right now, Boots has not beat a legit champion. And that's what Teofimo does for him, my brother. If you beat Teofimo Lopez, you have a multi-division champion in your resume. You have a unified champion in your resume. You have a lineal champion in your resume. So yes, my brother, Teofimo Lopez will represent a huge win for Jaron Boost Ennis. R30, my G. First thing I do, I hit the like button on my way, and I appreciate you, my brother. People be cheap with that like button, man. Damn. I appreciate you, R30. JJ's in there. Tell will give Boost a big name recognition. And that's what I'm talking about, my guy. Jaron Boost Ennis beats Teofimo Lopez. He wakes up tomorrow a much bigger star than he was today. Instantaneously. His stock skyrockets. And Boost needs that. He needs to fight names that are going to boost his status, so that he can surpass that stage where people can ask who he be. Listen, brother, once you beat a guy like Teofimo Lopez, the questions are over. The detractors who say, oh, he's a hype job, or he's a hype train, or whatever it is, they're going to have to say, damn, that nigga beat Teofimo. Yeah, he the truth. He's special. Front line. Yes, as the lower weight class, he can unify at 40 and is running from the other champs. I mean, I don't agree with you, man. I don't agree with you at all, because right now, Teofimo Lopez is trying to fight Jaron Boost Ennis or Devin Haney. Bro, he's trying to fight two of the best fighters of this generation right now. Think about that. Jaron Boost Ennis and Devin Haney. Those are the two people that it appears Teofimo Lopez is trying to make it happen with. One of those two. You can't knock a guy who's trying to fight Devin Haney, a pound-for-pound fighter, and Jaron Boost, he's going to be a pound-for-pound fighter, and he's already in some pound-for-pound lists. JJ said that has bigger payday for Boost after that fight. Of course. Of course. You beat Teofimo Lopez, and from that point on, yesterday's price or not today's price. That's the song you're going to be singing. R30. That's what I need from Boost, to fight a legit named champion. And I don't knock you, R30. I understand you for that, my brother, because a lot of people want to see it. The eye test is not enough. Boots already passed the eye test with flying colors. He could fight unorthodox. He could fight southpaw. Orthodox. He could fight southpaw. He got the speed. He got the ring IQ, the footwork, got it all. But we want to see him with the big names, with the big dogs. That opportunity, I believe, is now going to present itself for Boots. That's why you got to trust the process. And what I mean by trusting the process is that every fighter goes through that stage where they're so good that nobody wants to fight them. But eventually, they become so popular, they become such a thing that now people want to fight them. Now people want to get in the ring with them. And Boots is at that point. A lot of people now want to fight Boots. They know they're going to get that payday. They know they're going to fight on that huge platform. They want it. Now they want that opportunity. Look, here are some of the names of fighters who I've heard expressing interest in fighting Jaron Boots Ennis. Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez, Brian Norman Jr., Blair the Flair. And there's more. There's more fighters. But look at those names. Devin Haney. I think I mentioned him. They want to fight Jaron Boots Ennis. They have specifically mentioned his name. Like, y'all want to fight him. So I think Boots is going to have options. Let's see. Let's see where he goes. JJ's in the house. I think people will still talk shit if Boots wins. Virgil Ortiz. You see, Virgil versus Boots, that's another fight that's brewing. And that is going to happen. That fight is going to happen. The reason why that fight couldn't happen at the welterweight division is because obviously Virgil couldn't make 147 anymore. He damn near died trying to make weight twice. So, but I believe at 154 we're going to see that fight. And for the people that are saying that Boots should have fought Virgil Ortiz next or should fight Virgil Ortiz next, I'm going to tell you why that's not the fight to make right now. Here's why, my peoples. I want you to think about this. Right now, Virgil Ortiz is not a champion. He's not a champion right now. And Boots has 2 titles at the welterweight division. So what is best for Boots right now? To try to unify titles with this guy, with Brian Norman Jr., and now he has 3 out of the 4 belts, or move up to 154 and fight a non-title fight with Virgil Ortiz. They will be fighting for nothing. So all I'm telling you, my people, is that it makes a lot more sense for Boots to try to collect those titles at the welterweight division, which will give Virgil enough time so he can grab a title at 154. That way, when Boots finally moves up to the division, they can fight for a title. They can fight for Virgil's title, or Boots can pick up another one and they can go for unification. But the point is that right now that fight does not make sense. Boots versus Virgil needs a little bit more time so that they can do it when somebody's a champion at 154. R30, if he beats Teo, then I can get off the fence and say this guy beat a real name. John Parham, salute. Salute, my brother. So, look, I agree with you 100%. Now, I will tell you, I'm already on the Boots bandwagon. You know, to me, Boots is a special fighter. He's going to be one of the best of this generation, one of the most accomplished, and he might even become an all-time great. I'm telling you that right now. I'm already in the bandwagon. But I also understand that Boots needs to get in the ring with bigger names so that he can raise his profile. That's that. If you think about it, because you got to understand, right now Boots has what? 31 wins? 32 wins? Something like that? So he has a lot of fights already. A lot of fights. But you also got to understand, Boots is like what? 27, 28 years old? He's in his late 20s. He's not even 30 yet. So he got time. They don't got to rush it. But at this point, that's it. That's it. At this point, the fans want to see Boots get in there with a name. They want to see him fight somebody who, you know, is an accomplished fighter. And that's why I say Teofimo Lopez is a great fight. There you have it. Multi-division champion, unified champion, lineal champion. Come on now. He would definitely be a win and boost resume that would be super impressive. JJ's in the house. Yes, Virgil is a current WBC interim super welterweight champ. Yeah, but that interim stuff is crap. I don't nobody care about that interim shit. You know, like your interim champions, they don't even get mandatories. Like they don't even have to defend that shit. They just hold the interim title. But I think that, you know, at this point, Virgil Ortiz has an opportunity to grab a legitimate title at 154, and then him and Boots can finally fight. And, you know, they fighting for a strap. They fighting for something. They fighting for something important. I want to see it. I think, you know, Virgil versus Boots can end up being like Canelo and Crawford. A mega fight. And I'm not saying, you know, obviously Virgil doesn't have the same popularity that Canelo has, and Boots doesn't have Crawford's popularity right now. But like I said, you know, down the line, with both of them being champions, maybe both of them, you know, unifying titles, this could be a huge fight again. You know, Mexico versus the U.S., the Mexican versus the African American. Those, you know, when you take two elite level athletes of that nature under these circumstances, it's gonna be a huge fight. So hopefully, you know, Jaron Boots Ennis is gonna get a big fight next. We all want to see it. We all want to see it. And we want to see Teofimo Lopez, you know, challenge the big dog and see what happens. Can Teofimo pull off the upset? Because Boots will be the favorite. The bigger guy, naturally. Teofimo will be moving up. But look, man, I don't underestimate Teofimo Lopez. I got mad respect for what he does inside the ring. Teofimo's a special fighter. But Boots is also a very special fighter. How could you bet against Boots? How can you even do that? It's impossible. My peoples, I'm about to end this live. I want to give a shout out to everybody who came through. Check me out. JJ's in there has John Parham. My brother Arch30 came through. Show love. Gabe Rivera. And everybody else, man. I appreciate you guys coming through, talking boxing with me. Y'all already know I posted some videos. Check them out. And I got another video that's going to be posted within the next few minutes. Check that out as well. Yo, you see it, my peoples. I'm Jay Smith. This is Box Center. This is your favorite boxers. Favorite boxing show. My peoples. Bam. See y'all tomorrow.